It is. We back again as we promised. Myself and Mark Wallace here, 10 by 10 to win, and we are planning to win. Now, we don't just want to be happy for 2 or 3 days and take small victories, but we're trying to win, people. And I'm bringing you this live, uncut, unedited. I'm going to be interviewing Mark about asking him about 10 by 10 to win. And he's going to tell us about what's going on, about the website, about the text message blast. And if you guys would love to ask some questions too, we're not taking any phone calls, but we're answering through the social media, things like that. So it's just about 11 o'clock. It's lunchtime for some. If you didn't get a chance to, your friends not get a chance to come on, make sure you share it to them, send it to them, let them know that we are live again. As we promised that we was going to come back, we got a big meeting coming up this Thursday, right, Mark? This Thursday, and we expected at least 200 people, based it in. So we want to see you guys, and we're not going to hold you with a long speech, and we're going to get started. As you know, Mr. Mark Wallace, you guys know his background, 10 by 10 to win. All right, Mark, come on with it.
Good to be with you again today, Martin. Here we're actually in West Pullman at the Pullman House on 111th Street in St. Lawrence, where they are redeveloping the West Pullman area. So we are here, and I am glad to be with you to have this conversation and to continue to motivate and unionize and organize our people so that we can have big victories, accomplish big things, not 50 years from now or 60 years from now, that we're able to accomplish big things in our communities now that we can see happening, where our children can benefit from, the people in our communities can benefit from. Our communities are safer, stronger, and wealthier. That's what this is about. And really, the one thing that we have not done well is we have not organized well. We have not institutionalized, we haven't unionized, we haven't organized our political power. Now, when we say political power, that term is used loosely. What we're talking about is unionizing and organizing ourselves in a organized manner that we can impact public policy to bring equity from education to economics in our communities, so that we can see all of our communities where Black people live thrive just like communities are thriving in white communities. Communities are thriving in the Italian communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities. All of our communities should be thriving so that we have a world class city, we have a world class state. And I believe that here in Chicago, Cook County, and the state of Illinois, that with the large number of Black residents and Black voters, that we have the ability to do it, but we have not organized ourselves in a way for us to really be able to see that happen on a large, measurable basis. There are many of us, from education to finance to mental health, um, that are involved that are involved in organizations, and we're making strides. We're making incremental strides, but we can make great strides in all of those areas if we unionize ourselves together. There are many people who say that that's not going to happen. Black folks won't do this. Black folks won't do that. I am a consummate believer and a consummate person of hope. And certainly, I have hope and belief in our people. And I believe that with focus, with discipline, with deliberation, and with diligence, we will be able to impact those. And so um, I started 10 by 10 to win back in 2017, which was born out of the Citizens to Abolish Red Light Cameras when we had first established that political action committee. And now we have the 10 by 10, which is the political arm. Uh, to unionize our people. And as we are unionizing our people, all of those talents, all of those areas of concern, we will have people who have expertise in all of those areas that will be able to address those concerns. But you cannot address those concerns by any measurable way individually. Individualism is a toxic cancer, especially to people who have smaller numbers. What do I mean by that? We are only 12 or 13% of the population of the state of Illinois. But in Chicago, we are 30% of the population. And then if we spread that around Cook County, we become more of 40% of the population. So we are highly dense in the area of Chicago and Cook County. Now, Black people live all over the state of Illinois, but politics is driven largely by people who live in the city of Chicago and the county of Cook, our surrounding suburbs. So what we're doing is we are trying to get all of us to get out of the idea of individualism, because individualism doesn't work. It fractionizes us and it has us going in multiple areas and directions where we don't really have any real solid teeth to make the kinds of expansive improvements and the expansive growth in our communities, and whatever the area of the importance is, whether it's education, whether it's economics, whether it's housing, whether it's mental health, whatever it is, there's a number of areas, taxes, whatever. There are people who are in our government that are making all of these decisions, and we need to impact those decisions, because if we don't, on the front end, impact them, guess what? We will have to adhere to whatever the policies that come out of government.
I have a question, Mark, real quick. I know you're going on. I hate to interrupt you. Would you explain to our listeners how important it is to vote? Because most of us, when I say most, I'm talking about the Black culture, we don't believe in the voting process. And yes, we've been let down, not once, not twice, more than 5, 10, 6, 20 times. And a lot of us have just thrown in the towel like, hey, I'm just going to do me and let you guys do that. And, explain to us how important it is, how to get involved.
Well, the voting is important. If voting was not important, people in power would not be spending billions of dollars running for offices. Billions of dollars running for offices so that they can get into a position to make public policy that you and I will have to adhere to. So it's extraordinarily important. And then you now have a faction of people who are passing policies all around the country, more than 270 voter ID policies to restrict voting for a certain community, which is the Black community, because they know how strong and how powerful our vote is. And that is people from the extreme right wing, because they want to control political power. So voting is important. However, with that voting being important, organizing voting is far more powerful and far more impactful, that you won't have the apprehension to voting as some people have, because just as you say, that they go out and they vote for this person, they vote for that person, and that person goes to public office, and then the citizens feel 4 years later, 8 years later, 12 years later, they look back and they say, well, what have we gotten in return for sending that person or those people to public office? Which is not much. Incremental progress, but not anything that we could really measure. So it's extraordinarily important, but it has to be organized. It has to be unionized so that You can select, you can elect, and you can make demands that will be met by the people that you send to political office.
So today, that's why we're here, to establish 10 by 10 to win.
Absolutely.
That's why we're here, to
Right.
let the people know how important it is for us to come together. Not no individualism, because one person can't do it by themselves. I don't care how strong he or she is. We need a collective group of people with one mind, one body, one soul. Hey, we're going to put pressure on these politicians. We're going to elect people. We're going to select people. We're going to back them any way we can. So that's the purpose of 10 by 10. In other words, I'm gonna call it, it was always established, but the pandemic somehow got it, it's kind of fade out. But now today we're gonna bring it back even more stronger. I never was a member, but I watched it, trust me. I remember when you guys first started. So I was one of those, just in speculation, like, okay, what's to this? What's to this? You know, but now I'm sold on it because it's necessary for today's what we see. A lot of people, I don't mean to bring up Brandon Johnson, but I got to bring him up. It's important. A lot of people say they wish they hadn't voted for him, but I voted for Brandon Johnson. Now, am I happy with everything right now that he's doing? No, I would say no, but he still got 3 years left, and I'm hoping that things get better. I know a lot of things is over his head. And as you said, we always talk about the migrants. We cannot get distracted about that. It's important. Don't get me wrong. It's very important. But there's other policies that's going on, and we don't want to miss that either being made. And today, I want you to emphasize more on 10 by 10. What's the purpose? What's the goal? What we're trying to do, where we want to go in the next 4 or 5 years, and break that down to us. Tell us about, hold on, before that, tell us about, I know you said you're getting the website redone again, so it's not up. You have a text message blast. We want to talk about that. Also, we having a meeting this Thursday, right?
Right.
I want you to tell us about that and what's the purpose of it. Go ahead.
All right, so let's talk about the meeting that's going to take place on Thursday.
Okay.
We have a facility on that we're going to be meeting Thursday night at 6:30 sharp. I start meetings on time and end on time because I believe in respecting people's time. So the meetings are going to start at 6:30 sharp. We're going to be meeting in the fellowship hall of the St. John Missionary Baptist Church at 211 East 115th Street. That's 211 East 115th Street in the lower level at the fellowship hall. And the text alert number is 844-504-0932. So you can text 10X10 to the number 844-504-0932 to become a part of the text alert, so that when we send out future messages and future meeting locations.
0922?
0932.
Oh, 32. Okay.
It's 844-504-0932. You can text 10X10 to the number 844-504-0932. The entire purpose of the 10 by 10 to win is to take us individually and to unionize ourselves into a strong voting bloc. And once we organize ourselves, once we're organized, then we have the strength to be able to impact all of those areas of concern for our communities. Now, I just want to say this because I know it is the hottest button discussion right now. Is the meeting is not necessarily for us to go to talk about issues, but it is about for us to start organizing so that we can impact issues that concern our community. But let me just say this, because I know that I don't like for people to be misinformed. I don't like misinformation or disinformation. I'm a fact-driven person, information-driven person, and I want to convey that information to our public. The migrant situation is not going to be costing the taxpayers of the state of Illinois or the county of Cook. Immigration is a federal responsibility and a federal policy. which means that the federal government, mandated by law and the Constitution, must absorb whatever the cost of that. So whatever money that Brandon Johnson and the city council is putting out to help human beings that are being used as a political pawn, and so that we have some humanity, that money is coming back to the state and coming back to the city. So we are not, taxpayer dollars are not going to be spent on them that we're not getting back.
Okay.
So people need to understand that. All right. The other thing is, Brandon Johnson has only been in office since April. He's only been in office since April, and the problems of the city of Chicago are decades in the makings. Decades in the makings. And he, or anybody, there is no Superman that is going to save us overnight.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be the savior of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That is the entire purpose of unionizing ourselves. Each person becoming a part of a collective, because every person is equally important as the next person in doing this. This is not successful if we don't have a bunch of people involved with unionizing and strengthening the collective. It's not for any one person. It's not for Mark. It's not for Martin. It's for all of us. All right. So, and all of us have to play a role. If we don't do this, there is nobody out there that is going to save us. You hear that all the time, right? That we're waiting for some savior. There is nobody who's going to save us except for us. We have to save ourselves. And the way that we save ourselves is that we have a constitution, we have a government that has a responsibility for creating atmosphere and opportunities for communities to thrive. And the money is being doled out to the people who have the strength to go to make the demands and negotiate on behalf of their interests. Our community has to be our interest. And if we don't organize, if we don't prepare ourselves to go and make demands, we will continue to be in the condition that we're at, making incremental progress. Now look, individually, Black people individually, there are many Black people individually that are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing well individually. You're doing well individually. It's not enough for me to do well to sit up on a mountain and to see all my people around me suffering.
Right.
So that means that I'm not really doing well. I might have a few more resources than a few other people, but I'm not doing well socially if I see my people suffering when they shouldn't be suffering. Because there's plenty of resources to bring the kinds of economic development, to bring manufacturing back to our communities that will bring jobs for people to be able to go and get a good paying job, to be able to take care of themselves, buy a home, buy a car, take care of their children, go on a vacation, live a good life. The average manufacturing job today pays $98,000 a year. $98,000 a year. You can get trained. You can in one of these positions. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, 70% of all Black employment in the city of Chicago was in manufacturing, was in labor. 70%. Unfortunately, Ronald Reagan came in with his trickle-down theory of governing and gave all of the rich corporations and the CEOs tax cuts and the ability to shift their jobs and shift them overseas. We went from 70% Black employment and labor down to 28% in 6 years by 1987. Today, that number is below 10%. These are the kinds of things that we need to unify ourselves around so that we can make demands. They're building a $2 billion manufacturing battery plant in Kankakee, Illinois, that was just announced. We have the South Suburban Airport that we have been working on. Jesse Jackson Jr.
In
has been
Peatone, right?
working on. No, it's not Peatone. It's
Mon
near Peatone. It's
okay.
really Monique.
Monique, okay.
Okay, which is 15 or 20 minutes south of Chicago, which will transform the South region of Chicago, where we have a predominance of black people living. We have 17 black mayors in that region, right? And will also create opportunities for people on the south side of Chicago. The same way O'Hara has impacted and provides opportunities. We have people that friends, people who have retired from that area. There are 43,000 people who work at O'Hara Airport and another 300,000 jobs around O'Hara Airport as a result of O'Hara Airport. And the same thing would happen with this third airport that we're working on. But these are things that we can get done, but we can't get them done at the level that we need to get them done if we are not in a position of power. And being in a position of power is two things. You either have to have a big checkbook or you have to have a lot of votes. We don't have individually a big checkbook, but what we do have is a lot of people. We have a lot of votes, but we haven't organized those votes. We haven't gotten those blockages out of our head to say, you know what, I'm dropping what we've been doing for 30 years. And that means we're being fractionized, we're being individualized, and we're having people to divide us and disconnect us from each other and tell us that this won't work or that won't work. You don't know if it will work until you do it, right? There's an old saying that nothing beats a failure but a try. What we have to do, and I guarantee you that if we collectively do this, and that means that everybody has to buy in order for this to get to where we want it to get. We want to build the largest black voting bloc that has ever been seen in Cook County, the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the country. We will be the model for the country as to what black political empowerment really looks like. For example,
let me before you get started. Now you know, and I know, I've heard you say the other day that we have so many blacks that's in political power here, but yet we're last on the bottom. So I don't want the 10 by 10 to be the biggest, but with no power. I want us to have that power. So when the airport is built, we could demand jobs. When the battery plant is in place right now, we could demand a certain amount of those jobs for people that look like you and myself. So we need that power. We have to stay together. We have to be organized. That's the number one thing, people. We have to be organized. That's the main thing. I'm like this. I know Jesus turned the world upside down with 12 disciples, and later on we had more disciples, we know, but 12 original disciples. And I want us to be a powerhouse, and that's what I need for us to do. Not just a big body. I want us to be a big body, 10 by 10, but get things done. And the only way we can do that is we have to be together, be all aboard. And that's what I want to say,
Well, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. But they both have to be, right?
Right.
You can't be a powerhouse.
Right.
If you don't have a big body.
Right.
Which is the strength.
The strength.
Right? But the big body has to be together. Just like your body is made of 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 hands, mouth, 2 ears. They all have to work together in order for your body to function.
Right.
They have to go in the same direction. Right? Your arms can't be going in one direction, your legs going in a direction when you're trying to get to a certain point. They all have to go in the same thing. So we have to be one unit, one unified body. We can't be just a body, a bunch of people going in different directions.
Right.
Then what's the purpose? It defeats the purpose. But I guarantee you that if we, as our people, build this body, that we will be able to make demands of even the people who are in political offices today to deliver to our communities. Because if they're not delivering to our communities and they tell us that they can't, I don't want anybody working for me who says that they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you tell me that you can't, that means that you are not capable of working for me. I don't need a person who can't. It's either you will or you won't. That's the difference.
Okay.
It's not a matter of what can't. You can do anything that you set your determination to do. And we're not going to let people tell us that they can't. But in order to do that, we have to have the strength. Politicians collect and count votes.
Mm-hmm.
Building the 10 by 10 to win are votes that every person who desires or every person who is in a political office is going to want and need in order to stay there. We have the job, and it's our responsibility to hire and fire people who are in public office. Nobody would have somebody working for them, paying them a paycheck every week.
That's not producing.
That's not producing. You're not going to have an employee that comes in and you give them $1,000 at the end of the week and you got nothing for that $1,000 year in and year out. You're not going to do it. That is what we've been doing with people in public office, is because those people in public office have not responded to us, and they haven't responded to us because we are not organized. That's why they haven't.
And let me say this to Mark. Remember, I said also in the last interview we had, I said politicians tend to cater to two types of people: the one who's bankrolling them and the one who they most fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And guess what? We should be the ones that they most fear.
Mm-hmm.
We should be the ones that they most fear. They don't fear us because they know that there are a bunch of us who have that attitude and pass or spread that poison that, oh, well, they're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway. So no sense in me getting involved. Now, the truth is that you can take that attitude that you're not going to get involved, but you cannot take the attitude of not adhering to the laws that somebody who you didn't vote for passed, that you have to adhere to, that you may or may not like. You don't get that option. You have to adhere to it. So why shouldn't we determine what those policies are or what those laws are? We have the wherewithal to do that. We have the resources, and the resources are all of us. The resources of all of us. It's really not even about us raising a bunch of money. What it is about is us bringing ourselves together, and the money that we are paying into taxes will then come to our communities because we can make that demand, and they have to deliver or they have to be dismissed.
I got a question, a personal question for you.
Yeah.
Still on the subject. What is the difference between the white community that you see here in the city of Chicago and the black communities as far as resources? What is the difference?
Well, certainly there's a vast difference in resources. In Chicago, black people have 1 cent to every dollar that white people have in terms of wealth.
Okay.
That tells you what the difference is, right?
Right.
That there's been a income inequality for years, but it's only gotten worse in the last 40 years.
Okay.
40 years ago, the average CEO working of a company earned 30 times that of the average working person. Today, the average CEO earns 480 times that of the average working person today. That is unsustainable. That is unsustainable. It's unequitable, and it's not right. It's not fair. And it's not fair that black people are at the bottom of the heap. Black people are not at the bottom of the heap because they don't have the ability, because we don't have the talent. We're at the bottom of the heap because somebody has legislated us to be at the bottom of the heap.
That's where I'm going.
We put in the work for those people to live the kinds of lives and hoard the kinds of wealth that they have, and not be fair and equitable to our communities across the board. We cannot tolerate that. If we don't do this, we are really saying we're okay with being mistreated. I can't believe that that's the attitude of black people. It's not the attitude of black people.
So by having a 10 by 10, one of the most powerful voting blocks we have here in the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, probably even in the country, we can demand, not just make noise. That's the difference. Going out there make noise, may stand in front of somebody's house 2 or 3 days and it's over. That's making noise.
Right.
But we not only making noise, but we getting policies done. Just as the young people did when they marched, when Laquan McDonald got shot and killed, shot 16 times, and they demanded the body cameras, and they got Anita Alvarez out. And they got just about everything they wanted, by marching and protesting and standing sit-ins and things like that. And give you another example, the teachers union. I've seen them grow. They put the person in they wanted, and they put their money where their mouth is. And like you said, there's only 25,000.
There's only 25,000 members of the Chicago Teachers Union, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Stacey Davis Gates, who is a brilliant black woman. I'm a big fan of Tara Stamps, who is now the commissioner, who's another brilliant black educator. These are very powerful black people that head up the Chicago Teachers Union. Now, some people like to vilify the Chicago Teachers Union. I say, let's repeat that model because there are more of us. If the Chicago Teachers Union, who made a vow in 2013 that they were going to be a political force in Chicago. The Chicago Teachers Union, and birthed out of the Chicago Teachers Union, is United Working Families, which I have gone to several of their meetings. They actually hold their meetings at the Chicago Teachers Union building at 1900 West Carroll, which is a beautiful facility that the Chicago Teachers Union have. So why can't we have the black political union? It is time for us to organize the black political union so that we can have and be a force in politics, making demands, and those demands are met. We don't have to have some political party, right? Because this is not about party. This is about people. This is about people, and people having the power that we actually have, but using that power in an organized fashion. But this shouldn't be about some other group telling us, these are the candidates that you can select from. These are the candidates that we chose for you to select from. I believe that we should be selecting the candidates that we want to elect to send to office. The United Working Families had 19 people elected in this last election. 19, including Brandon Johnson, was one that they supported. We should do the same thing. Look, we have 22 black aldermen, 20 black aldermen. We have 20 black aldermen. We got a black mayor. We got a black Cook County Board president. We got 5 black Cook County commissioners, not to mention the other commissioners of water reclamation and some of the others. We got 22 black state representatives. We have 10 black state senators. We have 4 black United States Congress people. We have a black Speaker of the House, and we got a black lieutenant governor, and 17 black mayors, and a host of other people who are in political positions of power here in the city of Chicago, the county of Cook, and the state of Illinois. That does not exist anywhere else in the entire United States of America. However, we have all those people in positions of power, but we have not impacted those people to deliver for our communities at the level that we should. Our communities should not be having poor communities of black communities in Chicago, anywhere else in Cook County or the state of Illinois. There's not a single poor white community in the city of Chicago.
I know he's getting ready to say this. And how many communities we have? 77, right?
77.
Okay.
Right? And there's not a single poor white community in the city of Chicago. Of the 77 communities, there's not one poor white community. And guess what? There shouldn't be.
Let me ask you.
But at the same time, There should not be any poor black communities.
Let me ask you a question. So in that case, which I believe is true, which I know is true, all these 77 white communities, I mean, all these communities that's not poor, they have an alderman. The black communities, we have aldermen as
Right.
well. Does that mean that our aldermen are not delivering for us, or are they not? I mean, what's going on?
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
That means that the resources, uh, billions of dollars that are being invested in education, in healthcare, in contracts, are not being equitably shared to our communities. We are 30%
Mhm.
of the population of the city of Chicago. 30%. That means to me that we should have at least 30% of the jobs. We should have, our businesses should have 30% of the contracts at a minimum,
Mhm.
should have 30% of the contracts. Our communities should have, the right kind of security and protection. We should be able to have businesses in our communities where we have our own grocery stores that are operated by people who look like us, as we once did 30 years ago in Chicago. We used to have Food Basket, they had 4 or 5 stores, black owned. We should be operating our own businesses.
How can we get back to this point now? Tell us, what is it that you need from us, the people, to come in to join 10 by 10? Tell us, what's your expectations if we want to join today, and what can we do to participate and learn about this? Tell us, what's your expectations of
Here's the
us?
first thing that everybody, Martin, in your platform that is watching and follows you and watching us right now, if they could go to their phone and text 10x10 to the number 844-504-0932. That's the first thing you can do. The one thing that we want to do is what I'm saying is to make a commitment to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the expectation is. We have to commit to ourselves, not to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to commit to you. You have to commit to me, and so on and so on. We have to commit to each other. I don't need a big organization. I don't need a big organization. Now, and I usually don't talk about this, but I'm saying it to put it in context. I have amassed, thanks be to God, a pretty big, um, wealthy portfolio. I graduated from college. Um, I got my law degree, which was something that I never intended to do, but God afforded that situation to happen to be. I've been in real estate for more than 42 years, and I've established a pretty strong economic portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need another dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I work and I make money because I enjoy doing it, but what I do need is to see the people in my community thrive.
Okay.
That's what I lack. I walk out my door. I live in the black community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't live in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't live downtown. I live where black people live.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to stay where black people live. But it is disconcerting to me to see. Now, I'm not knocking where people live. You can choose to live wherever you want to live. I'm just saying is that I choose deliberately to make sure that I stay in contact with our people and our people's condition. But it's very disconcerting to me to be in a city of the kinds of wealth that is produced in our city, that our people are working to help to produce, that we have mothers that don't know where the next meal is, that don't have a decent job, or we have men who are being incarcerated that are being incarcerated out of opportunities, or we have men who have made some mistake or bad decision in their life, that they're being permanently shut out.
Mm-hmm.
That is a deliberate act that is happening that we can change.
Mm-hmm.
We can turn that around. I believe that if you want to have a safe community, the best path to a safe community is making sure that everybody who wants a job has a job,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a good paying
A
job,
thriving job, not just
thriving job. I don't want to see people just survive.
survive. Right.
In this day and age, people should be able to thrive. Everybody's not looking to be rich,
Right. That's correct.
but you can be rich in a sense as long as you can provide for yourself, you can pay your rent or mortgage, you can buy your family a car, take your family out on the weekends for some entertainment, enjoy some of the luxuries and the sights of where we live, improve our own communities. Everybody has a right to that.
Mm-hmm.
That is possible. We don't have to have poor people in order for other people to thrive. That is a fallacy.
I have another question too. So by us coming in to join 10 by 10, we can also learn about the political process in the meanwhile. Well, what if somebody say, well, Mark or Martin, I don't know anything about the political process. I don't believe in it. Why should I come? Why should I participate? What is it going to be in it for me? What do we tell those type of people? What do we tell them, Mark?
The first thing that we tell them is that if they come and they get involved and they get engaged, they are going to learn about the political process.
Mm-hmm.
And they are also going to learn what is in it for them
Mm-hmm.
by participation. We cannot afford despair.
Mm-hmm.
We can't afford despair, and we can't afford to be a spectator.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a spectator sport. This means that everybody has to be on the first team.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to be on the first team. Everybody is on the first team. And everybody counts to the strengthening of the power of making it better for everybody in our community. So even that person is responsible for how their community grows in strength or not. Anybody who decides to sit on the sideline, we are just that much weaker.
Mm-hmm.
Getting involved makes us that much stronger. Every person is imperative to strengthening our position, unlike we have seen before. If we're to do this, everybody is going to witness by us being consistent, by us being cooperative, by us being collective. Everybody's going to witness how we, as the people, change the conditions for our community, and thusly, we change the condition for the city of Chicago.
Well,
because when black people do better, everybody.
Let me ask you a question. Now, in this city, you not only have predominantly Democrats, mostly blacks are Democrats. You have some blacks that are Republicans. Are Republicans and Democrats welcome independence?
Every person who is a black person is welcome.
Okay.
This is not a label situation.
Okay.
Everybody who is a black person who wants to see black people thrive is welcome. We don't have a label on this. The first thing that we have to do is to organize ourselves together as a people. We're not anti anybody else. That's not what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
This is about us being pro our community, pro black people thriving. That's what this is about. So everybody is welcome. Whatever the label that they sit under or fly under or ascribe to, we are going to be in a position that we determine what policies and process is, regardless of party.
I got another question. This may be a little difficult for you to answer. Well, what about we have, without mentioning names, we have people that have a bad reputation in the black community, and they look like you and I, and they're very popular. If they come in, we want to make sure that they're not running anything, because you have, even myself, I have what you call people that, for the group's sake, I will work with them, but individually, I have no parts with. But when it comes to a collective one heart, one mind, one soul. I'm willing to put down my differences to work together. So, what do we do with those type people that love to make 10 by 10 about them instead of about 10 by 10? How are we going to handle that? See, some people, I've been having those questions. Ask, well, what if this such person come over here? What are we going to do? You know, how is Mr. Wallace going to handle that?
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
Uh, Jesus Christ had a congregation of 12, and 1/12 of his congregation wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
The way that we will do this is that if the majority of us, if the majority of us have the same focus, have the same commitment, that even those who are wayward, we have to love them,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we may have to discipline them,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to love them. But if the majority of us are together, those people will not be able to derail the progress of the whole. But we have to love them. We have to love them, and we have to open the door for everybody to come in. This is not some elite club where certain black people are allowed in and certain black people are not. That's not what this is about.
Thank you. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Because those are some of the concerns that I've talked to people that they say, well, Martin, it sounds good. I call it the blueprint. The blueprint. You call it 10 by 10, but I call it the blueprint, which is the blueprint.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I can't deal with certain people because, and I understand that. And I remember when we was marching down on the Magnificent Mile with the Laquan McDonald. A lot of us, you couldn't put a lot of us in one room together. It would be like a bunch of cats and dogs fighting.
Right.
But we came together, straight, gay, whatever organization, we all came together, and we put our hearts and souls and mind. We had to do this, and that's what I want to see with the 10 by 10.
Yes.
I want to see all of us put our labels down, our disagreements down, and let us respect one another. Now, we may not all agree. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. We're either going to succeed together or we're going to fail together.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be that where there's some people who are going to succeed and one group that is no. If we fail, we all fail.
Right.
We all fail. If we succeed, we all succeed. So, we are the determining factor of what that condition is. This is open and transparent, right? There is no hidden agenda. There's no hidden agenda. So we are either all going to come together for our community to thrive, or we're not. There is no gray area.
And this is not about money, how much money you can get out of people's pocket or nothing like that.
No, it's not. It's none of it. It's none of that. Okay. It's none of that. It's about how much money we can get put into people's pockets. Right. Who need it. Right. There will be people, obviously, if we build this the way that we should build this this union or this blueprint, and I'm glad you said blueprint, because you have to have a blueprint before you can build the building.
That's right. You know about that.
Okay. So you have to organize before we can succeed in those other areas. So this is the blueprint, and now we have to build the building so that we can go out and do the work that we need to get done. So, but again, listen, I will be held to an account if I were to, one, myself, do anything that would to betray one person. I betray all of us. I'd be held to account. I will go to my grave not betraying Black people, because I am a person who believes that the one thing that I have of value over anything else is my character.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that I have. That's all that I have. That's not for sale, and I'm not going to allow it to be compromised. Certainly, I'm not going to allow myself to. I've worked too hard to try to be the person that I am today, and thank God for the mother that I had, and the people who helped to shape me, and the opportunity to serve people and people who trust me. So the fact that you're sitting here with me today, it would be it would be um, catastrophic for me to betray your trust,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of my mentors says that when somebody comes in and you fail them, you broke the first promise.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make sure that whatever I'm doing, one, is pure in thought and pure in my actions. That I have to make sure of that.
Okay.
I have to be able to live with that.
Question. Uh, we're looking for. You don't have to necessarily live in Chicago. You can live on the west side, south side, north side, south suburb, and everything. What are some of the type of people, skill sets that you're looking for when people come up, sign up for 10 by 10? Such as, like, you may look for a person that got good clerical skills. One person may have a media platform. All different. What would help build this building we're looking for?
Well, that's the beauty thing. That's the beautiful thing about this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have to just build it 10 by 10. That's why we have to build with people, because I guarantee you, I don't have to ask that question. I'm glad you asked that. But as we build it, within our people, all there is that we have multiple people with those talents.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple people who have the clerical talents. There's multiple people who have the IT talents. There's multiple people who have the artistic or the media talent. Multiple people have that. So as we bring people in, those talents come in.
Mm-hmm.
They will already be in there. We'll find out who they are because they will be volunteering to participate in those areas. Not only that, is that as we bring people in, they will also represent uh, different areas of importance to our community. We have people who are expert in education. We have people who are expert in transportation. We have people who are expert in healthcare. So as we build with people, the talents also come in.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
I don't think that we have to lay out that. You'll see that those talents will be within the body.
So, getting back to the point, when is our first meeting? When are we going to meet? Where are we going to
First
assemble again?
meeting, we're looking forward to it tomorrow night, man. It's I am so excited. I know that you are. The first meeting to re-engage 10 by 10 to win is tomorrow night, Thursday night at 6:30 sharp. We are opening the meeting at 6:30, and we're going to end at 8 o'clock. I'm a person of discipline, so I believe in starting on time and ending on time. So we're going to start at 6:30 p.m. at the St. John Missionary Baptist Church, who have made their facility available to us, the first facility for us to meet down in the lower level in the fellowship hall. That's 211 East 115th Street.
So is that close to like State or Indiana?
It's 115th in Indiana.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right off of State Street.
Okay.
Right? It's 115th in Indiana. It's the church right on the south side of the street. Big, beautiful building there. Pastor A. Edward Davis is the senior pastor there, and I called him, and he said, absolutely, we'll make the fellowship hall available to you. We have somebody on the west side that says that when we're ready to come out west, their facility will be available to us. But that's all in part of it.
Well, I got a great question for you. Great question. Now, I kind of sort of remember when you guys first got started. Okay. Now, what are you going to do different that you did last time that you didn't do last time? What did you learn, by dealing with people coming in and things? This is a personal question, just I'm asking you. Yeah.
So what we're going to do differently. We're going to do differently. One is to be better.
Okay.
Right? To be better organized and to be more consistent and to make sure that we don't get distracted from what the goal is, because What happened the last time is that we had people who wanted to come in and try to compromise the situation. People who were looking for support in public office, but is to stay focused on the mission of organizing. That's what we. I believe one of the biggest things is that we didn't do last time is to make sure that we um, stayed focused on organizing and making sure that every person that came in, that we had record of that person to make sure that whenever information went out, everybody got the information. So that's what I certainly want to make sure that we do better. That we're better
now
organized.
you said that people came in because they wanted the support of the pack. Is
Right.
that what you're saying? So
Right.
what are you going to do different to not allow that, I would call it infiltrate?
Okay.
What are you going to do different? What can we, I'm going to just say we, not just you, we, because we're all in it together. How are we going to handle this situation?
We are all going to have to make that commitment not to allow anybody to
Political.
compromise.
Okay.
Anybody.
Okay.
Whether they're in office or desire to be in office, anybody to compromise what the goal is. And the goal is simple, is to organize and unionize ourselves. That's the first and primary goal, is to organize ourselves so that we have a unified, tight body that cannot be broken. That's the one thing, is to be focused. I believe, and since I'm was responsible for leading, that whatever the problems are, I have to own that.
Now, suppose we have a situation like this. We have, we'll just say myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm in it. I'm a faithful member. I've been dedicated to it. Then all of a sudden, I decide that I want to run for office. So now, but you guys, the 10 by 10 is not standing behind me. So I'm feeling some type of way, because I'm like, okay, well, I put all this energy into this time and money and effort. I feel like I'm the better candidate, and I may not be the better candidate. The group, as a group, we don't like Martin for political office. We like him in the position that he's doing now, media. So how will we handle this? I'm just saying the issues that might come up in the.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way that we're going to handle it is going to be very simple, because we're going to have a democratic process.
Okay.
Right? Is that whether it's people within the body,
right,
or somebody else,
right,
that may be looking to run for an office or have a desire to run for an office, the body has to vote.
Okay.
On any particular office. The body has to vote, and whichever person wins within the body for that particular office, that's who the entire body gets behind.
Mm-hmm.
So that let's just say that we have a person who wants to run for alderman. I don't want to say any particular.
Right.
Want to run for alderman, and we have 5 people within the body that wants to run. Then the body votes. Whoever wins the majority votes of the body, that person is the one that the entire body has to support. That's what makes this successful, right? We can't compromise that principle, because we have to do that across all of the ward lines, the district lines, whatever the elective offices is. Once we've made a determination as to who we are going to represent in these different offices, then we have to go out and we have to vote in unison for that particular candidate for that particular office. That's how we are able to determine the outcome of an election, and that it solidifies our power that we have the ability to select and to elect. And when people know that we have that power to do it, then those people are going to respond to the demands of the body.
See, this is what I'm talking about, because, as Black, sometimes we'll find excuse not to support. Well, it's like the prodigal son.
Yeah.
When one of the sons was found back, and the father blessed him with more than the other one, they felt like, well, we never left. And also, to break that down to 10 by 10 is, you might have a person there from the beginning, faithful, hard worker, dedicated, loyal, but here's a person who was only here for 3 months. but we selected the person that was here for 3 months, haven't really put no work in the body. So I mean, it's kind of
well, it's not so much.
Yeah.
It's not so much as that they're putting the work in the body.
Right.
Right. The body has put the work in by establishing itself.
Okay.
Right. And what the body, the strength is in the body.
Right.
Not in the person.
Right.
The strength is in the body. The person is subject to the body.
Yes,
the
sir.
The body is not subject to the person.
Sound like preaching now. Go ahead.
Right? So, with the example that you use as the prodigal son, I turn it around and use it as the prodigal father.
Okay.
Because the word prodigal means lavish.
Okay.
The father lavished the wayward son.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it will be the body that will be the lavisher.
Okay.
We will be the person, the body, that anybody that we give the opportunity to serve is subject to.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever that person is subject to the body. Because if that person doesn't deliver to the body, meaning our community, then that person doesn't get rehired. Then somebody else will be rehired. That's where the body has the power. So the person is subject to the body, not the body the other way around.
Okay.
That's what's happening to us now, that we are being subject to one person as opposed to that person being subject to us.
Right. Now, we have a history, and I'm saying black people, we will vote. Some of us, especially older people, right here in Illinois, but we never demand anything. You know, even if one comes from the body, we have to not only select them through the body, which we should. These questions probably will come up. What demands that we put on him or her? Now, all right, now the body have decided to have you run for alderman, male or female. That these are the demands that we're asking you to do for your particular area that you serve or your community that you serve, which is the black community. We have to put that in because it's, I think what it is, even myself with Brandon Johnson, I voted for Brandon Johnson because he was black. I'm being honest with you. And I felt that he would be a good look for the city hall for other black men can look up to Brandon Johnson. But to me, Brandon Johnson really didn't promise us anything. You know, I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to make this about Brandon Johnson or trying to make him look bad, his administration. I voted for him twice. And so my point is we have to have a list of demands when we support these candidates. If you don't do this, we're going to pull back. The body's going to pull back from you. So don't be surprised. This is what we want. And when I say the body, the community that particular person is serving, you know, which we probably black or some mix. These are things that we want. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yes. Well, the body is going to make those determinations. Right. First thing.
Real quick, put the text alert number up real quick.
The text alert number is 844-504-0932. So you need to text the number 10x10 to the number 844-504-0932. That's 844-504-0932. That's the text alert number so that you get into the text alert, and I'll be able to determine as people are signing up to first be a part of the text alert. We're going to get the website up so that everybody can sign on and get into the website. We can see the number of people that are growing in the website. The other thing that going back to what you said we're going to do better is to not only organize, make sure that they were consistent, but making sure that we're organizing where people are from.
Okay.
What ward they're in, what district they're in, what community they're in, so that we make sure that we know that we are building vast numbers of people in every community. That's what makes this successful, that as the numbers grow, that means that we're spreading the tent, that we're growing numbers in every community, that we will be able to, as a body, impact every community where we live. Every community. There is no community where we live that's left behind. White communities are doing well. We want them to do well. But the black community can't be down here and they're up here.
So I'll give you an example. So in other words, you're saying, I would say Neely Fuller, he always say, if I call 911 and say it's emergency, this particular brother had a male, he had a heart attack, or he's delusional or something. So when the ambulance come in here, the EMS, they come in here, they're going to walk past you and I because we're healthy. They're going to the one that's most sick, affected. So that's what we're saying, people in 10 by 10. Black people, we are the most affected in this area. So that's why we're trying to build up the black vote, build up our base. Young man asked a question on that. We haven't, he said, we also should vote for policy over ethnicity. You know, a lot of people have a problem like that. They can't see, some of us, we can't see black people in leadership. They have a problem with that. I'm talking about people that look like you and I. Some of us, we don't believe that we're qualified enough to run a city such as Chicago or be an alderman in the city of Chicago. So my point is, this 10 by 10 is not for white people. It's for black people to look like to help us. Now, if some whites want to assist us, will we welcome that?
Listen, if white people want to assist the elevation of black people, we'll accept that. And guess what? We're going to be demanding it because there are white people in public office. We got a white governor. Black people are going to be demanding of the white governor to deliver to the black community. Why? Because black people are the reason why he's the governor. He couldn't be the governor without the black vote. The mayor of the city of Chicago, whether they're black or white, cannot be the mayor of the city of Chicago without the black vote. No statewide official could be the statewide official without the support of the black vote. The Secretary of State could not be the Secretary of State without the black vote. So those people get those positions because we have afforded those positions to them. We must be reciprocated to for hiring them and giving them that power and those jobs. So the question is, or the statement that the young person or young man said voting over ethnicity is that, again, we are black people who are pro-black community, and we are going to select and elect people to go to public office. And if there's a black person in a public office that is not producing, then that person has to be dismissed, and we have to hire somebody else and give them their job description to deliver for our communities in these areas of importance. It is universal. There is no preferential person. What's preferential is the body. That's what's preferential.
Wow. Man, we said a lot, Mark. I think we've been on here about an hour, 8 minutes. Again, let's make these announcements. We're meeting tomorrow, and the text message blast, and tell us when is the projection date of the website being ready.
All right, so make sure that you get into the text alert, because we will send out a text alert just as a reminder to people where we're going to be tomorrow, and future meetings or future announcements where we might have pop-ups and that sort of thing. So make sure you get into the text alert. The text alert number is, you text 10X10 to the number 844-504-0932. Text 10X10 to the number 844-504-0932.
Tell them to do it now. So we
do it right now. Do it right now so that you can get in. And then when you send it, you should get a message saying, welcome you to the 10 by 10 to win text alert. So to make sure that you get all of the announcements and all the updates. Because you might be somewhere else, you might not be able to be there, but at least we can make sure that you stay informed. We don't want for anybody to not be communicated to. Wherever you are, we want to make sure that everybody gets all the information. So that's the purpose of the text alert. One, to make sure that everybody's communicating and to know how many people are participating. Right, and the more people to participate, the more people who are going to want to participate. That's how we will build this and it will thrive. And I guarantee you, every one of you will be excited because you're going to be equally a part of building. Every block is important. Every brick is important to the entire block.
Perfect. So make sure you guys right now text that number right now. Do not wait. We're meeting tomorrow. The first meeting is on tomorrow. That's 211. Was that West?
211 East.
East.
211 East, 115th Street. That's the St. John Missionary Baptist Church. We're going to be meeting in the lower level of the fellowship hall. Let's make sure that
6:30. That's the time we start now.
We're going to start at 6:30, whether there's one person there or 200 people. We're going to start on time. So make sure that you get there and you start on time. We're going to end on time at 8 o'clock. I'm not going to have people there 8:30, 8:15. If we say we start at 6:30, we're going to start at 6:30. We're going to end at 8. We're going to start doing, we're going to start out right.
Right. Make sure you send me the flyer of that, and I'm going to repost it.
Yes.
Today and tomorrow, remind people because I'm definitely going to be there. Do you want me to go live there while we're there, or we just record it?
Tomorrow
we're just organizing.
We're going to be organized.
Nice, right? We don't need
we're going to organize tomorrow.
Right.
Answer questions tomorrow.
Right.
But again, tomorrow we're just organizing. Right now we're in the building phase.
Right now. So we're not talking about no issues or anything.
We're not talking about issues. We understand the issues.
Right.
Right now, this is about us making a commitment to organize. That's what these meetings are going to be about.
Okay.
We'll have several meetings in different places. Tomorrow, we're going to be on the south side. Maybe next week, we'll be on the west side. And another week, we'll be in the south suburbs or wherever we need to go to. We'll find a facility so that we can meet, so that people can join the body.
Right.
I'm really excited and I'm looking forward.
I'm excited too. You see, I've been pushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I certainly appreciate you and working with you. Now, people should know, Marty. People should know that you and I don't know each other for a long period of time. You've seen me, I've seen you. I've seen the work that you've done.
Right.
But this is what it's all about.
Right.
Is that we're coming together for the benefit of our community.
That's it.
You don't have to have some long relationship.
No.
You just have to have the same objection.
That's
that
right.
You want for your community to do better. And I know that there are people who want opportunity. And guess what? We're going to make sure you get that opportunity. But we've got to do first things first. We have to do first things first. We have to make sure that we're all together in order for us to make sure that all do better.
I need to go off the subject one. It's really not off the subject. Real quick, and we'll make this the last question. It came to my mind.
Sure.
What do you have to say to those people that are Christian, which such as yourself? A lot of Christians, I don't get involved with politics because it's a mixture of faith and state and all that. What do you have to say about those people?
Well, number one, the Bible tells us that we have to adhere to the laws of the land. All right. So there is nothing biblical or scriptural about not being engaged in social justice. Jesus was a social justice Christ. He is a social justice Christ, number one. And number two, for anybody to say, I don't get involved in politics, you're involved in politics. You're involved in politics one way or the other, or politics is involved with you. Because you have to adhere to the policies that come out of politics. So you're involved in it one way or the other, whether you are directly involved with it, you're involved with it. So the fact that you have to adhere to policies that are being passed by these governing bodies, you should absolutely be on the front end of making demands on what those policies are and how those policies are enforced.
Beautiful. Beautiful, people. Beautiful. Okay, somebody said we don't need to vote. We need to take action. We should assemble to block the city. We will disrupt the flow in certain key points of the city of our demands will be met. No.
Unfortunately, that is a very misguided idea. The way that you block negative policies from happening is to make sure that good policies are put into place. And what we do is we become a block so that we block people from putting the wrong kinds of policies in place that disadvantage our community. That's how that happens. And all of these policies happen by voting. When you don't vote, that means that you have given your vote to somebody who may not be representing policies that benefit you. So one way or the other, you do participate.
Beautiful. I'm going to say this statement and we'll close it out. I had a police officer from the 7th district who was a commander at that time. He's no longer there. And he was like, you know, you guys come up here and protest. And we're not mad at you. You have that right, constitutional right. He said, but the real thing is, if you put pressure on your politicians, your policymakers, you guys can change things. And it'll come back to us. But by you guys coming here, screaming, shouting in our face and all you're going to do is aggravate us. We're going to look for everything to arrest you on. We're going to stop you, and we're going to go to the extreme. It's like a retaliation. So if you guys were smart, you would go to your local politicians and demand change policy. And it will trickle down to us as a law enforcement. And it made sense. I never looked at it like that, you know, because we would go to the politicians, scream and holler, make noise, as we say.
Well, the police don't set the policy; they enforce the policy.
Right.
Governing bodies legislate the policy, and it is voters who send those people there to be a part of those governing bodies that set the policy. They're people that somebody voted for that go there and they talk with other people, they collaborate with other people, and they come up with policies that you and I have to adhere to, that the police have to enforce, that your electric companies have to operate by, your garbage pickup. That's a policy that somebody put into place that people voted for. So everything that is happening, everything that you do is a policy. The clothes on your back are made in a way according to policy. All right. So everything has to do with how our system is set up and how it is governed. And so it is not enough to just make a bunch of noise. Dr. King said, look, protesting is your last line of defense. The first thing you do is you organize. Second thing you do is you negotiate. And then if your negotiation doesn't work, then you demonstrate.
Like Ford Motor Company.
Right. Then you demonstrate.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not enough to just go out and make noise, you know, to call people names, yell and scream, but you don't have an organized objective as to get to where it is that you want to go. That is where this is. This is what this is about. It's really getting us to settle down, organize ourselves together, and move in an organized fashion. One of the things that we did as the citizens to abolish red light cameras, and we're now almost 15 years old, nobody, not a news reporter, not a lawyer, not a politician, was ever able to refute us, because we made sure that we were organized and we had our information, we had our facts before we went out and demonstrated. And we were able to make things happen. The fight still goes on, but that is how I believe that you have to do it. You have to do it from a position of information, and you have to do it from a position of organization. And the more we organize, the information will come to us, and then we will be able to negotiate, make the demands that we need to have for our communities.
Mark, you know I can't stop it. All right, again, just say that number. Tell them, text that number right now.
All right, text 10x10 to the number 10. I'm sorry, text 10x10 to the number 844-504-0932. Text 10x10 to the number 844-504-0932. Get in the text alert, and we're going to send out a reminder about the meeting for tomorrow at the St. John Missionary Baptist Church in the lower level of the Fellowship Hall at 6:30 sharp. Martin and I will be starting the meeting tomorrow at 6:30, and we look forward to seeing each of you there to become a part of building this body, 10 by 10.
Quick question. Now, you know, when we was trying to figure out the text thing, so I want to let people know some of us is not tech savvy. So you have to dial the number 804.
804, I'm not sorry, 844.
Yeah, 844.
504 0932.
Now you have to put that number in the text box first. That's what you number to. Then once you put that number in the small box, you put 10x10.
Correct.
And hit send.
And hit send.
Because you have to tell some of us, because I couldn't get it.
I got you.
So you had to break it down.
Yeah.
So
right.
Again, people, you text the number 844
504 0932, and then down in the message that you're going to send is 10x10, hit send, and you should get a reply that welcomes you into the 10 by 10 text alert.
Perfect. And we're going to leave it on that note, live, uncut, and edit. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We're looking for commitment. Tomorrow, we're just organizing.
We're organizing.
We're not really talking about issues. You know, we're not talking about the migrants. We're not talking about Mayor Brandon or the police department, the killing. We're just trying to organize tomorrow.
We're organizing tomorrow.
Okay.
We're organizing the body tomorrow. We're building the building.
Building. That's it. We're building the building. That's right. We land the foundation.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brother Mark.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man, for taking time out with us. And I want to thank you guys for sacrificing your lunch hour to listen to what we have to say. Make sure you guys share this video, inbox it, tag it. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. I will be there on time. And I'm not going live, so you don't know what's going on. You have to be there to see what's going on.
That's it.
Thank you.